deals with human perception of various subjects from a rather interesting angle. His book is a reflection on his deep and versatile readings of the ideas of a wide range of authors and observations of commonly explored phenomena and subjects that are usually taken for granted. His hope for his readers is to gain an insight from his own enlightenment. This is clearly reflected from the very first quote in the book from G.K. Chesterton. If seeds in the black earth can turn into such beautiful roses, what might not the heart of man become in its long journey towards the stars? Sehdev repeats the words of Stephen Hawking when he says, "My goal is simple. It is complete understanding of the universe, why it is as it is, and why it exists at all." However, he adds that as an eloquent voice of science, perhaps Stephen could not unravel the mysteries of the universe to us. But somehow I doubt it, unless, of course, the universe he wants to understand is completely dead, unchanging, uncreative, and without consciousness. The wonder of the universe is that it is forever making itself anew. If not among the stars and the galaxies, then certainly here on earth where we experience it with our every breath. What we discover is that despite its numerous laws and cycles, it is an unexpected universe, full of surprises and astonishing turns of events and thoughts. This is the age-old question of all humans, and each tackles it from his or her own perspective. Sehdev Kumar's perspective is both internal and external. He sees the world around him both from within and without, both from an attached and a detached angle, expecting the unexpected and accepting it as a fact of life. If you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected, for it is hard to find and difficult. Heraclitus, 500 BC. The book begins with the essay, Angels in a Bookstore. It is about the Paris bookstore, the Shakespeare and Company, where people come from all over the world to gain inspiration and ideas. The inspiration begins at the door of the bookstore, where the sign reads, "Be not inhospitable to strangers, lest they be angels in disguise." The inspiration and idea that Sehdev Kumar seems to have gained by his visit to Shakespeare and Company is that its founder, George Whitman, may have been an angel himself, to have set up the company out of the passion of love, as it is only love which, in demanding nothing in return, gives solace and peace for having lived for others. The central idea of the next essay, 6 embossed points, the alphabets of the universe, points out the genius of Louis Braille for having given to the blind the gift of reading. The greatest difference between humans and other creations is their ability to express through communication with others their thoughts and feelings which the blind had been handicapped in, till Braille came on the scene. About the occurrences of natural calamities, he asks pointed questions like, how to make sense of such horrific tragedy? Who is to be blamed for it? If God is good, why does this destruction come? If it is an act of nature, how is it that some are saved and some are killed? Does nature have no intention? Is there any moral principle embedded in nature that resonates with human sense of good? In the end, it seems that humans search for rational explanations of every happening connected with or around them. The final answer seems to lie in the God of the gaps, that is, the gaps that exist in human knowledge of all the facts and reasons of the hows and whys of the universe. In the essay, How Natural is the Sacred, Sehdev observes, the sacred permeates all human life in a myriad of ways and renders meaning and dignity to our individual and communal selves. A haunting memory of a friend is so personal, so very much our own. A trust is merely a sentiment, so easy to betray. A value or a belief is no more than a guiding star on a dark night, so easily forgotten, so conveniently ignored. But in this exquisite subjectivity of the sacred for an individual or a group or a nation or a people, what is most essential to our being shines through. It is then that we see our true humanness. It is then that we have a glimpse, however faint and however ephemeral, of the transcendent, that self that encompasses ourself and yet alludes to something far greater. Just as the words humanity and crimes against humanity just as the words humanity and crimes against humanity mean far more than any one human being, the sacred too refers to all that we truly, unquestionably, and most ardently hold dear. It gives substance to our soul and to our being. The sacred is beyond reason, and yet it becomes the reason of our being. Delving on a similar thought, he writes in Making of a Masterpiece that the journey between being and becoming and being again may be the religious impulse that may take man beyond, which is often so presumptively called natural. It may possibly take him in the realm of the sacred. It takes only a few dedicated and resilient souls who cannot ignore the call of their nature to see such poignant truth. The gist of the part 2 of the book is summed up in the following quote from Martin Luther King. And I quote, "I refuse to accept despair as the final response to the ambiguities of history. I refuse to accept the idea that the isness of man's present nature makes him mortally incapable of reaching eternal earthness and forever confronts him. I refuse to accept the idea that man is mere flotsam and jetsam in the river of life, unable to influence the unfolding events which surround him. On continuing skimming through one essay after another, one sees that Sehdev Kumar envisions that science alone cannot view and reveal the reality of the mysteries of the universe. The poets, philosophers, sages, artists, and all form of human endeavor is geared towards the contemplating of the hows and whys of it. Sehdev continues to dwell on similar thoughts in his writings, even outside the book. In his article to Globe and Mail on why science cannot satisfy the soul, he says, "To strive to know the real, in nature as much as in one's mind, is the root of all knowledge. From the unreal, lead me to the real," the Upanishadic sages invoked 3,000 years ago. And William Blake, as he railed against Isaac Newton's single vision, wrote in the 18th century, "If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man